Dr. Garg, I'll bring up the whole issue of women health, something very, very basic. There is anecdotal data and evidence backed by science, backed by agencies that the progress of women healthcare, whether it is for childbirth or whether it is, when for lactating mothers or even for pregnant women, it's lacking. And it's perhaps in the bottom quartile if you compare the global averages. Something very basic. We're talking about India moving from 2 trillion to 5 trillion, but this is something which is very, very basic and very lacking. Why is that? And what can be done?
So I think there are two things to it. One is this whole social milieu that that has actually glorified the sacrifice, you eat last, your health is not important, I have to take care of child first, I'll have to give food to them first, I'll figure out, I'll go for my checkups late. I think that is a fundamental issue that we have with our society, where we do feel that, making such kind of sacrifices is to be celebrated. And that happens in most of the households, unfortunately. And I think we need to turn this upside down to say that, woman of the house has to be fit, healthy to take care of anybody else. And that her health is as important, if not more important, for the entire family. And then there is a second issue, which is a little bit more practical on the accessibility to healthcare. So there was this survey that was done by National Family Health Survey. I think it was released in 2022 or something. And there were about 7 lakh women who were interviewed. It was a mix of rural and some of the urban. And then about 60% of them said that they don't have access to healthcare. And some of the reasons that were listed were, of course, to the fact that you don't have enough women healthcare providers in community centers and public health centers, and they don't feel comfortable going to men doctors all the time. And then there is this whole issue about, is it safe for me to go there? Is it accessible to me? So you have to address all these social milieu questions for women's safety to be on board. We know that 80% or about 70 to 80% of the women are anemic. There have been certain programs about making it anemia-free, and it's very simple. You just need like 1 blood test and iron tablets. It's as simple as that. And yet, it's not a priority. It's not a priority for anyone. And the only way to solve is this one, this whole social structure about women's health is as important as a child or a man. And then second, making these cell centers accessible to them at multiple levels.
But I have a very basic question. As a IPS officer, when you look back at your career, what has been one most frustrating moment for you where you said, okay, ये हिंदुस्तान ने यहाँ पर ये नहीं बदला है, ना बदलेगा, कितना भी try कर लो. I'm asking it very simply.
It's very strange. I actually have a reply to this one which is completely opposite. In my service, every time someone has approached me for any work to be done, what I hear is, agar police chahti hai, to kuch bhi ho sakta hai. And this is what I have heard every time. And for some reason, when someone comes to you and says this, or if people approach the more senior officers, and then we tell the juniors, they actually get it done. It's surprising. So, I mean, what I have noticed in the long run is that in India, we haven't really put as much effort required in institution building in the security institutions, especially in the police. And that has changed in the last few years, maybe in the last decade or so. Everywhere now there are police stations and there is accessibility. People are able to reach there. And with the advent of the internet and the ubiquitous mobile phone, which is there everywhere, I think police has become, and policing services have become much more accessible. And because of that, I think more and more people are able to get the services that they need. And so there is nothing that cannot change. If you want to change it, you can do it. There's no
one thing
way
that
you
will
can't.
not change.
Hanji.
Traffic.
The traffic is changing. I mean, there used to be less cars, and now there are more cars. So I think even that has changed.